Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody. Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of LTS Wrestling Podcast. Of course, you got me. It's that NIC. You got JoJo. Say what's up, JoJo.
What up, what up?
Yep, you got Jay.
It's cracking.
And of course, you got my man Jasper. So, fellas, what's going on this week? What we got going on?
What's up, everybody? Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So we are here again together to talk pro wrestling. Specifically, today's agenda, we got a little bit of LFG, guys. Not Let's Fucking Go, but Legends and Future Greats. So we had a debut last week, the first episode, and we are here to talk about that. So, gentlemen, we've gone through a few of these type of shows in the past. Clearly, WWE's has had variations of this, specifically Tough Enough. Now they got LFG here, headed by 4 different legends. They got The Undertaker, Bubba Ray Dudley, Booker T, and Mickey James, all legends of WWE. We also have HBK kind of involved into the mix here, and a bunch of next in line recruits that are participants on the show. And I think, Nick, you called it out our last episode, talking about how this was taped a while back, right? Is that correct?
Right. Right. So, I seen one of the previews, and one of the previews had one of them, and I'm not exactly sure which one of the talents it was. But one of the talents was at WrestleMania 39, so I'm assuming that this taping has been going on for a while.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So, if anything, I caught this first episode. I thought it was a great introduction. It definitely has a nice little change up to the typical Tough Enough format. Because if I'm not mistaken, I don't think any of the coaches in the past were actually competing each other, and they didn't necessarily have teams. They were just kind of like battling it out for like one female and one male to come out of that whole group to, basically earn a contract with WWE. This one specifically, they are having one female, one male win an NXT contract. In addition to that, the coaches will win the first LFG title belt. So interesting implications here for this show. Otherwise, let's jump right into it, guys. So I think, if anything, there's I'm not sure, like just a little over 10 people, or I could be wrong. I think there's like a good amount of people on this show. Some notables out there. I think there's one kid named Elijah Holyfield, which is the son of the pro boxer Evander Holyfield. I think there was I forgot that kid's name, the one that is dating Maxine. Do you guys know which one I'm talking about?
I forgot his name.
I think his name's Luke. Don't quote me on that.
Ooh, I was gonna say Mark.
Gosh, Anthony Luke. Sorry,
yeah, but we do know. Anthony.
Yeah, it could be Anthony Luke. Yeah. So there's
Maxine,
that kid. But outside of that, guys,
Sacramento dude.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, he's up there in Roseville. That's right. Yeah, Bay Area, right? Or NorCal, I should say.
Northern.
Yeah. All right, but yeah, thoughts? Anything stood out to you guys first episode? Not all at once.
It makes you want to watch more. For me, it makes me want to watch more. Like I think Jay touched it on it last time. I think we talked, and the having background, and with the coaches and with these wrestlers that is coming up in this new era. It's gonna be dope to see who wows you in the future, and then to even look back to go, oh, I didn't even think that one was gonna make it. You know what I mean? Like that type of stuff. So it's good. I like it. I like it so far.
Like
first episode with me too. Yeah.
Being a wrestling fan, so when these kind of shows gives you like a behind the scenes look at what's going on in NXT, it's kind of cool. I did watch the last episode, the last season of Tough Enough, where Booker T Lita, Billy Gunn were the coaches. And there were some stars that they made. Chelsea Green is a product of that. Before the unfortunate personal problems, Velveteen Dream was a part of that. Mandy Rose, Shut Your Mouth Saxton was a part of that. So they found some decent players there at these shows. And The Miz obviously is a Hall of Famer that came from one of these reality shows. This one, it's cool because the legends they picked, like, Taker has really he's changed up and he's more of a media person now. So we get to see like his role in WWE. He's not in character anymore. He doesn't need to be the dead man no more. He doesn't need to be the American badass. He actually he lets you inside now. Like he lets you know about what's going on with him. So any kind of like information we can get from Taker of what he thinks about the game, that's valuable because that guy is like he's all about the business. So I like the show. So far, first episode. I did watch season 2, so I don't want to spoil that. I mean, season 2, episode 2. I don't want to spoil nothing, but yeah, it's and Booker T. That's the man. I like the coaches. I do want to say this. There are coaches there that actually run schools. Bully Ray, Bubba Ray, he runs his own school. Booker T runs his own school, and Mickey James, I believe, has ran her own school. Don't quote me on that. But Undertaker, he hasn't. So this is really like a good in-depth thing. Is why this guy is so valuable. Why he might not have a school, but you can bet you WWE, Shawn Michaels, Triple H hold him in high regard, and they want his opinions and things.
No, absolutely.
One of the I'm glad you brought up that whole Undertaker thing because like I remember I think I was watching like a podcast or something, might have been with JR or somebody, and they were talking about how Taker said that he's real old school, so he, regardless if he was in the ring or outside of the ring, he kept to his character, right? So that's why they rarely got any interviews out of him. Because he really tried to protect who he was, who his character was, and all that stuff. So yeah, it is kind of great to see him, now more in the media, more open, as far as like who he really is as Mark Calloway, not the Undertaker anymore. And like how he said, right, he wanted to put that character to rest already, and I think for good reason. We don't want to tarnish that character anymore. You know what I mean? Like that. It's good if we never see the Undertaker again. I'm actually okay with that. Leave the legacy as it is. One of the things that I took away from the first episode of LFG, and this is coming from somebody who's been a wrestling fan for a long time. Yeah, of course, wrestling is, you gotta have to be the top of the top. You gotta have the total package, right? You gotta look good, and I mean, you don't exactly have to have the most like godly looking body. You don't have to look the best, but you gotta look good. You gotta wrestle good. You gotta have good in-ring skills, and you gotta have mic skills. And I'll be honest, that first episode, bro, where everybody was doing their promos. As a lifelong wrestling fan, bro, that was really lackluster. And you would think that somebody in there would cut a pretty decent promo. I mean, bro, I'm not gonna try and pump myself up, but I think I'd cut a better promo than majority of them.
Hey, Iron Man, let me just piggyback off that Iron Man, Dick, man, because I was watching it too, and I was like, whoa, some of this stuff heavy. Even the ones I'm rooting for, I was like, I wouldn't even lead with that. Like the one we're gonna get into, right? Lee Laurel. I was like, oh man, two mothers and a distant father across the. I was like, that's a little heavy. That's a little heavy. We're just gonna run. Like that's why I like the P Nasty chick. She's like, I'm just gonna come out and whoop ass like you want to. Or can we say that on here? Yeah, like straight to the point. Who want their issue? Let's get it. But yeah, man, some of those promos was a little wonky and then a little heavy. Where I'm like, ooh, we'll see. Go ahead, Jay.
For the promos, right? The cool thing about these talents that they have is that they're really green. Some of them have been in there for like 2 years or close to 2 years. Some of them have been there for 5 weeks. Some of them there for 5 months. So when you talk about one who was, what was her name? The Korean Filipino girl.
Leah
Laurel.
Laurel. Sorry.
Leah Laurel.
She's only been there for 5 months. So,
oh wow! Yeah.
So these promos, they're gonna be nervous. They're gonna be and that's the cool part about it. So it's a scripted show, but you can't fake nervousness. So they're nervous.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah, and I like how the coaches called it out too. Like, was like, hey, they're not gonna believe you if you're gonna run with that. Like,
yeah, and they're as like we look at. This might be off topic, but we look at it is that Tiffy Time is still nervous promoing against Charlotte Flair. She's gonna get squashed in the promo game. She's gonna get squashed by Charlotte Flair because Charlotte Flair is believable, and Tiffy Time just looks like a kid when she's promoting the WrestleMania match. And it takes a minute to find their character. So I guess. They're green. That's what I just want to point that out. They're really green.
Yeah. I'll kind of chime in here too.
And of course, this is all initiative, for sure. This is all initiative.
Yeah, I'll chime in on that topic, that part of it too. Like, Jay called it out. They are green, and absolutely the part where they're also in front of like these, like well established, Hall of Famers, right? So it's like there's gonna be that nervous. Nervous aspect to this whole part of them doing promos, just like off the cuff, right in front of them. So it's like, like part of it is like I'm sure they're overthinking it. I'm sure it's also like, they're nervous because of who they're doing it in front of. And then lastly, like some of them are as green as like you just mentioned, like that one girl, Laurel. I'm sorry, I'm just butchering her name, Leigh Laurel. And for some others. Like just not having enough experience on that platform, you also got the cameras on top of you. So it's just like, there's so many different variables here on why they could probably feel like they weren't able to deliver it to that point, but it's kind of expected. These guys are like, they're green. They're clearly in a development type of show too, right?
And remember their age. Yes. Their age are so young. Some of them are 20 years old. And then there was one girl, she's only been there for a week, and she's like 19, 20 years old. That's a lot of pressure.
Right, yeah.
That's a lot of pressure for a young individual.
Dude, a week. But I think I know which one you're talking about. 20.
Yep.
Yeah, 20 years
one of them. 20 years old. They
don't even know themselves yet.
And Xena, that other one, Xena, she was barely 19 or so. Yeah, that one. Wow.
Yeah. The Ukrainian girl.
Yes, the Ukrainian one. Yeah, she said she could be the next Rhea. I was like, oh, yeah, let's go.
I'll say this though.
At 20.
I'll say this. To speak on these promos, there was clearly that one viral clip that is kind of going around specifically. With that one dude, Braden Ray, aka BJ. So that whole scene where he's trying to cut the promo, and clearly the people that were kind of critiquing him were Bubba Ray and Undertaker. I'll say this. I kind of wanted. This is kind of like the one thing I wanted to really talk about for this first episode is this kid. Clearly, he's I believe from Orange County. He's 25 years old. He's definitely that one guy on the show that's going to be the instigator, the heel, the antagonist, whatever you want to call it, right? He's clearly there to draw some of the ratings and clearly ruffle some feathers, and he's clearly doing it to some of the judges, or Bubba Ray and Undertaker for that matter. The kids definitely got that cockiness about him, and I could see why they feel like there's potential behind him. But gosh, that one promo, I don't know how serious he was. That just, I was really shaking my head. I was like, what the fuck is this kid doing? Or what is he saying?
I'm saying, dude.
I'm like,
bro, cut better promos.
Bro, Snapchat? Who's still on Snapchat?
Bro, I'm telling Wait, let me ask you guys this. Let me ask you guys this. Do you think that was scripted? It is a show, so do you think that was scripted? Like he's supposed to
hell no.
Be,
bro.
I don't think it was. I don't think it was.
Not him.
No. I think he's just genuinely like that. You know what I mean? Like I can sense like he's not trying hard, but he's really being himself. But that's also the great thing about him, right? He's like, it doesn't take much for him to really be that type of guy where you can naturally hate him. But at the same time, I've never really seen him wrestle yet. So it's just like, who knows? We could have like the makings of like, I don't want to say this name to create a high expectation, but who knows? We could be looking at MJF type of dude, right? Or even like a Logan Paul type of dude. But I'm
Malibu's Most Wanted. He's doing his best Malibu's Most Wanted impersonation, man. And we ain't never had that gimmick. So
seriously.
Originality.
Well, I don't know. Would you consider
gimmick going on?
Would you consider Cena's first gimmick as that rapper?
Nah, Cena.
I'm about to say,
like,
Thugonomics, man.
He was cool. Like, he rapped. Yeah, I can see this dude rap.
Yep, that's so true.
Kind of flow,
But he kind of portrayed that.
Right?
He did portray that, though. Malibu's most wanted character. Just in jorts.
West Coast. He said, what did he say? West Coast gangster. That's his thing.
Like gangster from the OC.
Oh my gosh.
The OC. Hey,
yeah.
I wouldn't put it past it. There's activity in that nice place over there. Like it's nice. But it's activity everywhere.
He don't look like he's from Santa Ana. That's all I'm saying. Like he look like he's Malibu's Most Wanted.
He's from the streets of Laguna Hills. Man, but no, that kid, like he really does come off like really cocky in my opinion. And on top of that, like there is that threshold where he's kind of pushing it where I think Undertaker was the one that was calling him out, about being disrespectful. Because even like when Bully Ray or Bubba Ray was trying to like give him some feedback, it's like the kid was trying to like talk over him or kind of like cut him off. I'm like, all right, see, that's where I feel like, okay, this part doesn't feel scripted. Like it just feels like this guy genuinely is he's just like a millennial that's just just being rude, and at the same time he was being soft, right? Like I think his whole angle here was like, I was trying to shake your hand, Bubba, but then I felt disrespected, blah blah blah. I'm like, dude, if you're gonna cry over that, good luck, man.
Look at it. What did he say? It's not that serious. Like,
he's not that serious, but he took it pretty personal, in my opinion.
He did.
You got to cut a promo on that segment. I'm like, come on, you're still hurting. Somebody give him a tissue, man.
If you're gonna cut a promo like that, bro, he's got to work on his cadence. His cadence was terrible.
Yeah,
cutting that promo against Bob. I mean, yeah, it was more believable, but it's just I didn't like his cadence, bro. His cadence was kind of bad.
I think he was still crying inside.
Yeah,
if he's not careful, he can be like Enzo Amore, who was just ruffling feathers left and right.
See, you know what? That is an interesting point, though, because it almost feels like because of his personality, it comes off that way. But there are like pros and cons to it. Like he really could have that gift of gab, but at the same time, you're just probably going to annoy a lot of people at the end of the day and not really get far with that. I think it was actually that one guy. I think Anthony Luke was the one that was the one that called him out and said, or like kind of said something like on the side where that could be it could be what gets him further in this competition, but it could also be his downfall, right? So I think this kid has a lot to still learn. Clearly, in the like showing respect and being a little bit humble in that department, but otherwise, I think he has the look. He could clearly pull off one of the bigger surprises, I think, I would say, in terms of like going far in this competition. Because, I'll be honest, he kind of does stand out in my opinion, but I don't know. It's still too early, right?
Yeah, I think he has what it takes to go further in the competition. Like you said, he stands out, and Bubba's right, bro. He's oozing with talent. He has it, but he doesn't know when to turn off the gimmick. So like his whole personality is where he's from, and nothing wrong with that, dude. Because like every place has people that their whole personality is where they're from, right? Mm-hmm. And nothing's wrong with that. But then when it comes to interacting with people and all that stuff, man, maybe especially when it's your coworkers and all that stuff, turn the thing off. You know what I mean? And I think that's where the problem lies right now with them, is that he doesn't know how to turn it off, and that's where him trying to act like how he's acting is where it led him to cut that really like super cringy promo.
Yeah.
And then like when he cut that promo against Bubba, it was still right. Tell him to go see Logan Paul. Logan Paul cuts better promos than him.
I think he lacks awareness. You know, he kind of didn't read the room right when he cut that promo, or specifically prior to that, and like just taking that criticism, he just doesn't know when to keep his mouth shut. You know, like listen, just take a second, and just listen a bit. You know what I mean? So. Yeah, like at the end of the day, he's just one of them, and there's just so many, you know, like different guys that haven't really been featured yet because we barely just got, I think, episode 2. You know, we're not going to really touch on that part, but outside of that, guys, I think we kind of like talked about this off the podcast a bit, but yeah, interesting enough, we have the 4 different judges. We're talking about like how they are kind of like picking their guys and also competing against each other. So kind of interested to kind of talk on who would you guys actually pick out of the 4 judges? Why would you choose them? And if you had an option to choose anyone besides them, who would you actually choose? Jay, you want to lead on this?
Oh, man. It's not easy, man. Can you dig that, sucker? Okay. Booker T has worked with so much talent. The guy has produced star after star after star. The guy has ran his own school for so long. He knows how to find talent. He knows how to build talent. I want to go to somebody who has shown a lot of range. He's serious about the business. He's still involved, like in ring. He knows what the new moves are. He knows all the moves. Like meaning like because he's in NXT. He sees he calls the matches. He sees all that stuff. And you see the talent that he's had. He's had the Usos. They came from his school. He's had Jacob in his school also. He's had
Roxanne.
Oh, maybe not at his school. Roxanne Perez. He maybe not at his school, but has been at his promotion with Jacob. That's what I'm saying. Umaga was part of his school. So he's definitely worked with so much talent, and when he was in WCW, he was such a different performer, and then you see him go to WWE, and he changed himself, and then you saw him go to TNA, and then he changed himself again. Like this guy gets the business; he's all about the business. I definitely feel like I would learn a lot from him, promo and talent wise. But then for a judge not to be there, like one of the judges, like one of the teachers, I think one of the questions is who's not a teacher that you'd like to learn from?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that's kind of like there's a lot. I mean, Muda comes to mind, but I kind of would say who was one of the most technical wrestlers? You probably have to go like with a Bret Hart, kind of somebody like that, or what's his name? I can't think of the name right now, but
what's his moveset?
I would say Bret Hart would probably be the best one to go because Bret Hart can work any kind of skill you would go. I mean, any kind of style that you want to do it. But just to mark out Muda.
I was kind of thinking like, okay, I think he's just gonna go Muda, skill set wise, everything. But man,
Muda only works like he works a luchador style when he was younger, and he works a strong style, right? He doesn't he doesn't really work a WWE style.
Right.
You would want somebody who's been everywhere, and that would be Bret Hart.
That's fair. That's fair. Probably do a little combo spinneroonie with a green mist right following that. How about you, Nick?
Me personally, when I really thought about it, I think I would go with Taker. Taker would be my guy. I feel like Taker would give me really he would give me really good insights into the business. One of the things I really admire about him as far as being a wrestler is that he knew when the original Undertaker character was getting not stale, but that it was stagnant. and he realized that there was a time when he was like, and he even said it. It couldn't have been not too long ago that if he didn't change up from what he was as the Undertaker character or evolve it from where it was, then his career wouldn't have been as long as it was. So he learned to evolve his character, which eventually turned him into the American Badass. And then when the time was right, for nostalgic purposes and because it's already an established brand, he brings back the Dead Man. So I think because of that kind of knowledge that he would bring to the table, and then I'm not going to spoil episode 2 of LFG, but a part of something that he said in LFG 2 is really smart. Is that he's talking about how you work the crowd, where there's that, when you do the punch exchange, and then you get the face punches, and they're like, the crowd goes, and then the heel punches, they go boo. And then he's talking about it, and he's like, if you've gotten to that point where the crowd is reacting like that, then you've got them. You've got them, and you know what I mean? The wrestling style you can learn every kind of wrestling style, right? But you're eventually going to develop it into your own. But I think the psychological part to the wrestling business is what I would really appreciate. So that's why I would take Taker. And if I could pick anybody in the game to be my mentor, it would have to be Triple H, bro. Lifelong Triple H fan, bro. The game, I know he's not exactly the cleanest guy as far as like how he rolls up. I know he stepped on some toes, but I'm not against stepping on toes, bro. So I mean, yeah, that would be my guy, Triple H.
Sometimes you got to, man. Sometimes you got to. The business is so cutthroat, and if you ever want to make it, yeah.
Especially in that era, it was super cutthroat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Cuzzo?
Oh man, me and you, Nick, I align with Nick a lot. But before I get into mine, just shout out all the coaches, well deserved. If you get to learn under any of them that they got, the Booker T's, the Mickey J's, the Bubba Ray. But I would go with Taker. Of course, because it's him, right? Original fear monger. But it's the way, like, they also cut his promo, like, HBK's my guy, right? This dude he says something like, not only does this guy gonna make you appreciate and, like, love the job that comes with it, you're gonna do that with the art form that we do inside of that square circle. That stuff pulled me, right? And then it's a whole lot, right? I know he's the least, the guy that doesn't have the school, but he's still full. What did they say? Like, he's still wealthy with wisdom, and he still cares. Like, oh man, this guy's awesome. And then after the show, right, they air this thing, The Rival, with him and Stone Cold. And then I wasn't really expecting him to go, oh, is this the guy that we're gonna push? Cool, we're gonna make him look right. Like, we're gonna make him look great. So I feel like he's gonna make me look great too. And then at the end of the first episode, he goes, I am from the old school, like what Nick was saying. And he a lot of what Nick was saying about him alludes me to him, but he goes, but I'm going to bring it together, the new era in my era. And I'm like, oh, so he will help me evolve and stay current, or he's going to bring it out of me. And then the fact that he picked that Olympic gold lady, she's full of energy, right? He's like, oh, that's easy to work with, because that person just going to bring this energy I'm going to just take and try to mold. I'm like, oh, me. Pick me, dude, right there, right? And oh man, and the art, dude, I was just thinking, because I was like, hey, the people he tombstoned is still, like, they're walking, you know what I mean? So there's the art to it. And then you guys talk about from the punches, from the exchanges, like, oh man, he would bring it out of me, and I would dive in his head. And hey, it would be HBK, right, if I had a choice, because keep it sexy. He's the dude that always showed me a show. And I was like, dude, he's always going to put on for you. He's always going to sell it and put on. And that's why I'd pick him. But in terms of how far do I want to go in this business, then that's where Triple H comes in, right? Because he just done it all. What do you say? Who knows about this business more than I do, right? And he can show that. He's good. Like, so depending on how far, if I wanted to just keep it sexy and just perform, cool. HBK, come show me the ropes. But if I want to go really far on even running it one day, from the bottom to up, he know it all. Like from the heel to the hero, from the anti. Like, yeah, dude, he could. So Triple H too.
Nice. So for me, I actually would choose Bubba Ray from this group. And I kind of touched on this in the past, off the record. So, reason why I would lean towards Bubba Ray, no disrespect to any of the other judges. Like you said, Cuzzo, all respect to all the judges. They are clearly there with all the credentials and credibility based on their careers. For me, Bubba Ray kind of is the one I would gravitate to only because I feel like he is kind of like that hard-nosed, no BS type of guy. And I think for those type of people are the people I would want to work with. Trying to earn their respect and win them over is going to be the most challenging. And if you can win them over, I feel like anything's possible. So the guy's also, like he threw out there, he's also like he has a major in psychology. He's a professional poker player. So like, I think that kind of intrigued me when he said stuff like that, just because you have the physicality of pro wrestling, but there's also the mental side, right? Like being able to read and have those mental, like just kind of having a mental advantage against your competitors, right? Or like even like having that kind of engagement with the crowd. That guy clearly has an intellect for this business, this industry, and he speaks so highly well, and he's very credible, with not just his accolades, but the guy, he's on Busted Open Radio, and just to kind of hear his take on a lot of the things that are happening widespread in the industry, it's very interesting, and I feel like I could learn a lot from him specifically on that. At the same time, who would I pick outside of this? I'm actually going to say Chris Jericho, because for me, I grew up watching Jericho, and a little bit of what to what you're saying, Jay. Like I can appreciate his technical skill set. The dude kind of like, he went from like a cruiserweight to kind of like evolve himself. And I think the best word for me here, or the thing that synonymizes to Chris Jericho, is evolution. Only because the guy has been able to evolve his style and his character throughout all the years. And the guy's still wrestling till this day. I've been kind of critical about how he's been presented on AEW, like currently. But prior to all that, guys, I have nothing but great things to say about Jericho. Like his time, ECW. I can't say I caught a lot of the stuff he did prior to that, like specifically in Canada, or even like in Mexico. But his ECW days, and then WCW. Man, the guy is just like so talented. Clearly he's also a musician as well. But I think there's so many things about what drew me to be such a fan of Jericho, especially his debut for WWE. It was such a big deal, because I remember like him leaving WCW. It was kind of like that whole transitional phase where you see a lot of these guys that weren't getting enough TV time, and it was just now like, where can these guys go? And he was one of those guys that went from WCW to WWE and really made it such a major splash in WWE, specifically with that debut promo, him and Rock. My gosh, like that's like, to me, like it's still one of the best debuts ever, and they went all out with like doing like the whole Y2J countdown thing, which is just like the build up behind that was so incredibly cool. And then, like he went down, like I would say like a couple more debuts after that, like kind of using that same introduction. But man, like I just feel like the guy could do things on the mic. So I feel like I could learn a lot about that. Just, being also how to get that crowd engagement. I like how he flips things too, like it's just like, yeah, people are very critical about him right now, specifically AEW, when he's out there with this whole, the Jericho tree thing, and it's like he flips it so well. Like, even though I'm very critical about it, he doesn't like just give in to the whole thing where it's like people are telling him, "Oh, retire," retire. And I remember him saying something about like, you guys would want me to retire. I think this was at like in New York, And he was like, you guys would want me to retire because that way I would pitch for your baseball team, which needs a pitcher right now. So he kind of flips it and even gets more heat, like on the hometown crowd. So it's like things like that where it's just like you can definitely improvise and be able to like take a situation like that and use it to your favor. It's the things like that matter to me. Outside of his, athletic ability, clearly he's done so many great things in the industry and earns a lot of accolades. So he'd definitely be my pick. So outside of that, I think LFG right now. I've actually, like to kind of like end it here. I am kind of curious to see how much engagement I'll get out of this. Only because I've been kind of critical also for the past Tough Enough shows. I use this analogy, like it kind of feels like this show has always been kind of like the that like making the band show on MTV back in the day, where it's just like how far do these talent or whoever like comes out winning this, like how far will they go? Because to me, like it almost feels like like they're putting a product on TV. They're clearly giving exposure to a lot of these up and comers, but it just kind of like. For me, I'm hoping that the return for these individuals will be, maximized. Like this opportunity will not fall short. And I hope that they will be able to capitalize on this opportunity. At the same time, for WWE's sake, create a platform where it is, going to continue to sustain and create more stars. And I do have a little bit more confidence with this, just because I think some of these guys coming from the Next in Line program. You also got NXT. There's like a very good foundation for up and coming new talent that they can organically grow in the company. And I think this is just another opportunity for them to expose them to a greater audience. So otherwise, guys, I think if you guys have anything else to add on LFG before we wrap up on this. Yes, sir.
I will say, you make a convincing case about Jericho. I've changed my mind. Jericho. That is a really... All the points are correct. No lies detected. The guy knows how to change with the game, and he's worked all styles.
He's been everywhere.
New Japan.
Yeah, he's been everywhere.
Yeah, so yeah, I would drop out of Bret Hart school. I probably wouldn't make it. I wouldn't even last in that school. By the way,
I don't think I would. I wouldn't either. That's like fantasy booking me. I'm fantasy booking myself to go to these guys' schools and like not even like make it.
I would last like a minute in these schools, man. I'd be a dropout. But yes, you make a convincing case for Jericho. I would pick Jericho if he was one of the judges. I mean, if he was one of the, is it judges?
Just for you, like a mentor.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's that's a good point.
For sure. All right, fellas. So I'll say that this episode is coming to a wrap, and we will catch you guys on the next one. So for our viewers, please subscribe and definitely check us out for the next episode. Otherwise, we out.